Thank you, Ahmadine. Let's bring in some residents of Kano, Dr. Shadir Alhassan and Habibu Kassosa, to help us get a better picture of what's going on in Kano. Thank you, gentlemen, for giving us your time. Let me start with you, Shadir. There's been many views. My colleague in that report mentioned a clash, political discourse. Why do you think that the first action of the new administration in Kano State should be the demolition of buildings by the previous administration? What could be the rationale?
Okay. Good evening, and thank you for having me. Let me make a little correction. My name is Dr. Umar Alhassan Ahmad, and I'm ANPP party follower here in Kano. So on the issue of demolition, we are not doing any demolition in Kano. We are doing what is called restoration. For example, if I will give you an example, a school, a department of Kano University of Science and Technology, which is hosted in Daula Hotel, was demolished by previous administration under Ganduje and handed it over to his biological son for him to build a particular place. How can you take a public property and hand it over to your son? Which kind of justice is this? It's a restoration exercise. Check the Hasia Bayero Hospital, a pediatric hospital that has been for many years in Kano, was sold to by Ganduje administration at the cost of just 6 million naira. A hospital that is worthy of 10 billion naira was sold at the cheaper rate of just 6 million naira. How can that happen in a place like Kano? Who can allow that to happen under his own administration? It is just destroyed. They have destroyed Kano. They have sold everything belonging to Kano people. Go and see how they sold a central Eid ground in Kano State. Go and see how they sold Hajj camp.
Okay, I think the network has interrupted.
We have about, I was going to Hajj from the entire northern part of Kano. They have sold it all. They have demolished all the houses and sold it to a particular person.
Okay, if I may interject before I bring in Mr. Kassosa, I want to ask you, what is the benefit of this demolition for the residents of Kano State? What are the people saying?
Okay, the benefit, we good people of Kano, we are going to get through this demolition. It is a restoration process. Now our schools that has been divided and shared to by particular elites. Public. I will give you an example. I am part of the transition committee. I am among those who visited the Kano School of Kano School of Islamic Study. The previous government under Ganduje administration, they divided the school into 4 and sold 3 parts of it. Only 1 portion out of 4 remain as the school. They have established a quarters very close to administrative school. Now we are making that demolition to restore the land to the school and to build more classes.
All right, let's bring in Mr. Kassosa. Mr. Kassosa, if you can explain to us, the opposition in the state is saying that this demolition exercise is more of a political vendetta. Is this an argument you take up, and why?
Hello?
Yes, Mr. Kassosa, I beg your pardon. Can you hear me?
Hello, yeah, I can hear you.
Did you get my question?
Yeah, I have gotten your question very well.
All right, go ahead and respond, please.
Little correction, please. Thank you for having me. My name is Habibu Ahmadu. I'm just a member of Kassosa. I'm not. My name is not Kassosa, actually.
Okay, I really apologize to you both for the mislabeling tonight. Please go ahead.
Yeah, the truth of the matter is that the situation like this, when it's like there's a political tug war between the incumbent administration and the past administration, that's, I think, what I see in the whole of this saga. It is an unfortunate thing that something could have gone wrong, certainly, but at the end of the day, it is the citizens that are suffering. A legitimate government comes and establishes some activities, whether right or wrong. Some could be right, some could be wrong. But at the end of the day, an exercise like this has happened, then without a notice, without following due process with the law, you just start pulling down structures. I think it's not the right thing. Even if there are foul plays in the way of allocation, I think there is the need to follow due process to ensure that when you are going to do it, you give the people notice. Some people are even renting the place. Some bought it from allocations, and they go and start pulling down structures, and people are losing their properties. Like what happened at the Eid ground, the place where there were demolition, people were just coming. You can even see physically what is actually happening. People are going there, vandalizing properties, taking things that do not belong to them. I think it's not right. If the government has the right to take back the ownership of a particular place, there are procedures. Follow the due procedures to ensure that you take back the properties appropriately. Give notice. People who are renting can pack out their properties. Give compensation to people who the government who can get their compensations and so on and so forth. But in a situation where you just go and start pulling structures without even a notice, I think it's not the right.
All right, let me come back to you, Dr. Alhassan. He's talked about compensation. We'll come to that if we have time. According to an estimate from a surveying firm in your state, assets being lost to the demolition run into several billions of naira. Now, in a state with an estimated $12 billion economy and about 70% of all residents falling below the poverty line, how does this demolition uplift the people economically? Because we're already hearing complaints all over the place. Some people say banks are being skeptical about taking land documents because they're afraid that another government will come and change the policy and all of that.
Okay, suddenly, I want you to understand.
Dr. Alhassan, the question is for you.
Where we have a serious large number of out-of-school children. Kano State is where we have a large number of out-of-school children. The previous government come and started dividing schools and turning schools into shops. I know you are aware of this. We must demolish those shops. We must rebuild. Wandering on a street, we have to take them back to classes for them to study very well. Do you ever heard of any state in Nigeria where a sitting governor sold out a hospital of about 200 plus bed spaces was sold at the cost of 600 million to a senior party member? The valuers value that hospital at the cost of 12 billion naira.
What about, okay, you're highlighting the ones that has been clarified. What about those who are saying that some of these properties that are being demolished had no business with the Ganduje administration, and they tendered documents to show still their properties were destroyed? A commission of inquiry has been instituted. So my question is two-pronged. How sure are you that all the properties being destroyed was connected with the previous administration and is illegal? And on the other hand, why is a commission of inquiry coming after the fact and not before? Dr. Alhassan, the question is for you. I think the network has...
I didn't hear the last part of the question. Please, the last part of the question.
I'm talking about the commission of inquiry that is being set up. I'm asking, why is it coming after the demolition exercise? Why wasn't there an inquiry to verify that all the properties are illegal before the demolition began?
What you need to understand, the demolition only takes place, I think, in only 5 places. There are about 200 places where there are illegal structures here in Kano. Go and check our mosques, our schools, our graveyards, where our grandparents are sleeping. They went and start turning it into the shops. So therefore, the commission on inquiry is not late. They are verifying, they are checking the genuinity of those. The eat ground that most of them they are complaining about, government asks them to forward their genuine papers. No one come. No one come, I'm telling you. Don't let them mislead you, those who are out of Kano. We are here in Kano, you should come and see with your naked eyes. What we are doing is restoration of a public property. In Kano School Polytechnic alone, they have sold about 100 plots inside the school. Now, next to the administrative block is a residence house. In a population that we are having in Kano, we are always want to expand only in the history of a state as in Kano.
All right, Dr. Alhassan, in the interest of time, let's just take the final thoughts from Mr. Amadou. What would you like to say to both the residents who have been affected by this demolition and the government of Kano?
Please, can I get the question, please, again, please?
What would you like to say to the people and the government in regards to the demolition of properties?
I think to the government, I will advise that let them investigate properly and assign and be sure where things have gone wrong, where they have made mistakes, to correct their mistakes. Sincerely speaking, the government needs to identify where they have made their mistakes and correct the mistakes. For the residents of Kano, where these things are happening, honestly, I will ask them to abide by the laws and be careful and follow the due law process to get whatever damages they need to get from properties.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.